All right, good evening. With that, it's 7:01, and I'd like to open the public hearing portion of the evening. I do have a few comments before we get started. I do want to thank First Selectman Camillo and his team for working so hard over the last several weeks to put together this budget. Likewise, Dr. Jones and her team, Ben Branyan, Chief Financial and Administrative Officer, I see Patrick Lay here, as well as Dr. McCanty Anthony and the entire Board of Education. I will just say that this is a lot of information that everyone has been listening to and absorbing over the last hour, and I should let you know that the BET has not previewed this information. It's new to us. We just got the budget books tonight. On behalf of the Budget Committee, Joe Kelly, Harry Fisher, myself, Laura Erickson, and Doug Fenton, we will be spending an awful lot of time together over the course of the next few weeks digesting this, as well as the entire BET is here this evening at the table to my right, your left. But this is your night. We want to hear from you. Everything that you've heard and seen tonight will be available on the town's website and the Board of Education website. I'm sure they'll get it up as soon as possible. So if you didn't quite catch every number, there will be available for you. I want to start by acknowledging and thanking our team. We have Joan Lynch, our comptroller, who will also serve as timekeeper tonight. We have Agnes Kawai, our budget director, who's been working very closely with the First Selectmen's team. We have Leo Barisha in the back, who is the executive assistant to Joan, and who is really the point person for the BET. And we also have Craig Jones, who's helping us with technical support. In the control room, we have Don Conway, who is with GCTV, Greenwich Community Television, and Horst Tebbe is the editor. So we have many people to thank. For logistics, we do have some people participating via Zoom. I think we have about 11. So what I'd like to do is alternate between the people in the room and the people on Zoom. If you wish to speak and you have not yet signed up, there are pieces of paper over on the table behind the BET members. Leo, if you want to bring up the first batch, I guess it's going to be to Doug, Joe, not your, whoever's on the end is going to collect them. And what I'd like to do is sort of call the first couple people in person, and then the third person would be on Zoom. And what I'd ask the people on Zoom is, if you are on deck, so to speak, raise your hand so Craig knows to elevate you, and after the speaker before you will acknowledge you and you can speak. We have changed it from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, so apologies if you were planning to speak for an extra minute. But I will tell you, you can just get up and say your name and what you're here to speak about. We appreciate the niceties, but you don't need to say good evening and thank you and all that stuff. You can just get to the stuff that you want to talk about. Have I missed anything, gentlemen? Okay. I will say, I do see a couple of young people in the room, so I don't want to put you on the spot. If you are planning on speaking, raise your hand and we'll take you first, because I know that there are other obligations. Yes, so I'm going to start, but you have to tell me your name. So I see there's one in the back. There's you with the young man in the hockey shirt. Is there anyone else who's planning to speak? Okay, so there's 3 young people. So I'm going to, as a matter of courtesy, call on them first, although I don't know exactly what number you are. So, sir, why don't you start? And then I'll do the young man in the back in front of me, and then over to my right. So please state your name clearly and what you're here to speak about. We can guess. And Joan is going to give you a 30-second warning.
Hi, my name is Glendon Breismeister. I'm a resident of Cascab, and this is my son, Foster. Foster, say hello.
Hello.
Do you like playing ice hockey in this town?
Yes.
Yeah, he sure does. And I grew up playing ice hockey in this town at Hamel Rink. I kind of aged out of it around 2000 before the bleachers were broken. I then moved to
You just have to press it once. You don't have to continually.
I then moved to New York City and was kind of out of the town sports scene. And when we came back and I recently enrolled my son in the ice hockey program, I was shocked to see that the new bleachers that were built around 2000 didn't have bathrooms in it. And I had to take my son to the toilet that I used, the single toilet in the whole rink. And we had to walk through, down past the rink into the old warming hut and use that same bathroom. And I understand that the rink is not ADA compliant. And, it's just been piecemeal little Band-Aids to this rink, and the town desperately needs a new rink, desperately. It can't be kicked down the road anymore. We don't want to skate for neighboring towns' youth ice hockey programs where we can get more ice. We want to skate in Greenwich with our friends from the local elementary schools. This rink is desperately needed, and we don't want to lose the ice because Greenwich High School gets the ice or other programs. Our youth program needs more ice, and we need a new rink. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Can you just change that to 1? Sir?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charles Gullerner, and I'm the Vice President for the class of 2028 at Greenwich High School. I'm here to speak about the proposed staff cuts, more specifically the 6.5 teaching positions and 1 administrator that are to be cut at the high school. When you reduce teaching positions at GHS, the impact is immediate. Classes get larger, and teachers have less time to help students individually. According to the Brookings Institution research on class size, including the STAR study, found that students in smaller classes showed learning gains equivalent to about 3 additional months of instruction compared with larger classes. Fewer teachers means fewer opportunities for one-on-one help, mentorship, and academic support, the very things students really need to thrive. Reducing teachers doesn't just affect academics, it also affects the social and emotional environment of our school. Teachers are mentors, advisors, and role models who guide students through challenges both in and out of the classroom. Without enough teachers, students may not get the support they need to manage stress, navigate difficult subjects, or plan for college and career goals. Research shows that strong teacher-student relationships are linked to higher engagement, lower and better mental health outcomes. And while I know there's obviously a lot of budget problems, which is why we have to cut the 6.5 teaching positions, I'd really appreciate it if you guys try to figure out a way in the budget to keep them at our school. Thank you.
All right, next you can come forward, and I'm just going to announce the next couple of speakers. After this young lady, we'll have Karen Rubin, followed by John Fisher, who are both in the room, followed by Alex Pop, who is on Zoom. Just lower the mic a little bit so we can hear you. Thank you. And state your name clearly.
My name is Charlotte Fine, and I'm a 5th grader at Riverside School. Outside of my house, I spend more time at Riverside School than anywhere else. Just recently, dozens of my classmates and I were sometimes in the building for almost 11 hours a day when we had after-school rehearsals for the Riverside's winter musical. I love Riverside School because I've made close friends and my teachers are great, but I wish the building was better for students. For example, in 3rd grade, I had a classmate who would become so upset that for the safety, the rest of us had to exit our classroom. Doing this was our only option because there was no other place for the student to go calm down. Other Greenwich schools have a special area for this called a sensory room because they have space for one. And when I was in the orchestra, weekly lessons were in a dark, narrow room that had been a custodial closet because there was no other place in the building. Trying to fit all of us and our equipment was like trying to solve a puzzle. And when I was on crutches for 2 months with a knee injury in 1st grade, I did extra work to learn how to climb stairs because Riverside doesn't have an elevator. Unfortunately, the school didn't end up allowing me to use my crutches on stairs because it was considered so dangerous. This meant that my class couldn't use the art and music rooms that were on the 2nd floor. It also meant my entire class couldn't do the clay unit in art because it wasn't possible to get all the necessary materials down to our classroom on the 1st floor. I was very upset because my injury was the reason our class was missing out on a project. I know that things aren't perfect at any school, but I don't think the experience I described happened to most students at most of the other schools in Greenwich. Please set aside enough money in a way that makes sure the renovation can be done to fix Riverside School. Thank you.
All right, Karen Rubin and John Fisher, if you want to be ready to come on up, that would be helpful.
Is this on? Thank you so much. It's kind of unfair that I have to come after all the cute kids, so thank you anyway. I'm here representing GDIP, Greenwich Drop-In Pickleball. We're a group of about 1,500 people who like to play pickleball, and we like to play it in a drop-in format, which means that a lot of people come together and we share the space. It's really a very lovely thing to see grown adults all happily playing together in this day and age. Thank you so much for making pickleball accessible to us and for the things that you've done to increase our ability to play. The town does a lot of things for us, but this is community building, and I find that particularly special. People like me, and there's a lot of us, we live here, but we may not work here, so we don't meet people through work. Even today, if we're Zooming to work, we're not meeting people local at work. Some of us are too young or too old to have children in the school system, so we're not meeting people that way. We might not belong to a country club. And I hope this doesn't alienate you, but not everybody participates in organized worship in the community either. Even going to the grocery store, where I used to, see people that I thought looked familiar, I do a lot of my shopping on Amazon now, and so does everybody else. So where do you meet the people that you live with? Organized sports for adults is a great example of how to do that. I know more people in the town of Greenwich now than I knew 20 years ago through playing pickleball. So I'm here to ask for more. Please, can you encourage pickleball? It's a very accessible, inclusive, and cheap sport. We have tennis courts that could be striped for pickleball in addition to tennis, very inexpensively, and a portable net only costs $600 or $800. We know that the courts aren't being used all the time. Is my time up?
All right, John Fisher to be followed by Alex Pop on Zoom, and after Alex will be Monica Huang.
I do believe this is the third year in a row that I've been behind the pickleballers. I am John Fisher, PTAC past president, GHS PTA co-president. I speak only for myself tonight, plagiarizing Mark Anthony's speech after Caesar was stabbed in the back by people he trusted. Friends, people of Greenwich, elected officials, lend me your ears. I come not to praise this school budget, but to bury it. Some may say this budget is efficient, responsible, good, because it's below guidelines, and some may have honorable intentions. But efficiency does not teach any student. Fiscal responsibility does not enrich any student. If this is good, it is a grievous good. For the way to prepare students for better futures is to allow teachers time, is not fewer teachers, or larger classes, or doing less. Is it too ambitious to expect better schools? To allow teachers time to teach students, to invest for better academic outcomes? I come not to praise this budget, but to bury it, and to speak for schools of distinction, rising test scores, improving ratings and rankings, all built on the work of teachers. And yet this budget cuts 4 teachers at CMS, an underperforming priority school, and it cuts 7.5 at GHS, on top of the many that have been cut at GHS over the last 3 years. This unnecessarily austere budget chooses status quo over better outcomes. The people of Greenwich voted pro schools, and I ask the BET to heed that vote. Insist that the superintendent and the BOE present budget options that preserve student-facing positions without cutting elsewhere. I come not to praise this budget, but to lay it to rest. Thank you.
So on Zoom, we have Alex Pop. Craig, do we have Alex? We don't. All right, if he comes on, he can raise his hand. So we have Monica Huang, followed by Gordon Giebert, and then followed on Zoom by Neil Rich.
Good evening, members of BET. Thank you again for your service here for the community of Greenwich. I'm here tonight. I'm Monica Wong. I'm one of the GHS co-presidents. I'm speaking on behalf of the GHS PTA board and GHS community. I'm here tonight because we oppose the proposed BOE budget that does cut 6.5 teaching positions and 1 administrative position at Greenwich High School. We are very familiar that in the past the district has achieved staffing reductions through natural attrition, but this budget proposes cutting staffed positions without actually identifying what subjects and classes will be cut. Once teaching positions and student-facing administrators are cut, they are gone. In our experience, they are never restored regardless of student needs. These cuts have had and will continue to have a lasting negative consequence for high school students. I would like to point out that while GHS is being asked to eliminate 1 administrative position, it looks like central office is adding 2. That does not make sense to us. We need to support, in terms of administration, where the students are. I do appreciate that enrollments are a motivation for these cuts. However, the projected enrollment for the upcoming school year is just 100 students less than 3 years ago. But in those 3 years, GHS has already suffered radical staffing cuts, including 11.5 teachers and 1 administrator, along with others. So what I'm asking is for BET to go back to the superintendent to ask for a budget an alternative budget that does not significantly reduce the number of staff cuts. Thank you very much.
Do we have Gordon Giebert? Thank you, Gordon. And then next is Neil Rich on Zoom, followed by Jason Martin.
How you doing? Gordon Gebert here, retired rock star, believe it or not. And I run the official MPL, National Pickleball League. So I'm here with all my fellow pickleball players. Who I have to ask, who here plays pickleball? You play pickleball on the panel? You play pickleball? All right, good. So we're connecting on this. All right. I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Greenwich people. The temporary repairs all the time. I'm here to save you money. The repairs that you've been doing at the Cohen, Greenwich, the Eastern Civic Center. You need to do it correctly to save money. You're going to be here every year. You got to repair the cracks. We repair this, that. I want to thank you because you guys are making 4 dedicated pickleball courts, but you have tennis courts too that need to be hybrid. We have so many pickleball players here. I just played inside Eastern Civic Center, and we had 24 players. They only had 3 courts going on. So that indoor facility could fit 6 courts in there. You only have 3 courts in there. You could fit 6. And there's such a waiting list every time we play. And in the summer also, we're all waiting on the side, playing, waiting to play and everything. I mean, it's a big pickleball community, you know. So I ask for you to consult, if you can, consult with me and like a board for pickleball to make it more efficient for you guys to, save money. The other recommendation was permeable court surface system. That will save you, if you pay up front, you're going to save money on the back end because all the courts crack over the winter, the water gets in there. So there's a system called permeable court surface system that you won't have us here begging for you to fix the courts anymore. So I want to thank you guys. Thank you.
Craig, do we have Neil Rich? We do not. You're in person. All right, come on up, Neil.
Thank you. Pardon my attire. I was just at Dorothy Hamill coaching our Greenwich High School varsity boys hockey. I actually have to go back. My name is Neil Rich. I am currently the head coach for the boys varsity hockey program at Greenwich High School, as well as a coach and director for the Greenwich Cardinal Youth Hockey Association. I've been coaching in town for about 9 years now. I'm speaking on Dorothy Hamill. This community and the children of it deserve a place to call home when taking part in their hockey experience. Home is a warm, inviting place where you feel comfortable and safe. As of right now, that is not Dorothy Hamill. As hard as it may try, it has fallen behind the times and is in desperate need of evolution. The kids deserve it. They also deserve a place to continue their experience, meaning Dorothy Hamill cannot shut down during this process. It would mean the end of Greenwich High School hockey. Kids would find other places to play, and we'd have to restart from scratch in 5 years, whatever it would be. It would also kill the town program, Greenwich Cardinal Youth Hockey Association, as all those kids would find other programs to play for. And right now, we have 32 8-year-olds, 6 to 8-year-olds that we would love to matriculate through our program. And if they don't have that, how are we going to do it? All the surrounding rinks are at capacity. I know people say we can find ice elsewhere, but that is not the case. The ice that they would have available for us would not be enough to service the needs of the programs, and we just wouldn't be able to continue on. Only Dorothy Hamill can provide that. In my 9 years of coaching in Greenwich, I've seen malfunctioning restrooms, water fountains, moldy and unsanitary common areas, and less than inviting atmosphere. It's time for a change, and one that will keep hockey alive, preserve its history in the town, and evolve with the times. The community, its families, and its children deserve a home. Thank you.
All right, Jason Martin, excuse me, Principal Martine, right? There we go. All right. To be followed by Selectwoman Rachel Khanna, and then Stephen Pezdek from Riverside School, speaking on Riverside School, who hopefully is on Zoom. Thank you.
All right, good evening, members of the BET, superintendent, community members. My name is Jason Martin, and I'm the very proud principal of Riverside School. Tonight, I am here to again emphasize the urgency and importance of moving forward with the proposed renovations for our school. I am grateful for the board's consideration and ongoing support, as this project represents an opportunity to transform Riverside into a space that meets the needs of our students, staff, and families. While the vision for Riverside's future is exciting, the reality of our building today remains unchanged. We continue to face the same limitations, make the same compromises, and work around the same constraints. Like many of my fellow schools in Greenwich, we have learned to adapt and make the best of the situation, often with a great deal of creativity and success. At the same time, we don't want the success to mask the very real challenges created by the building's outdated infrastructure. What feels different now, and what gives our community hope, is that we are approaching a moment of real momentum. The building committee is poised to begin its work in earnest, and that step signals more than planning, it signals a forward movement. As that work begins, I want to offer a gentle but important reminder. As priorities are balanced and long-term planning continues across the town, we ask Riverside not be unintentionally forgotten or pushed to a later chapter. We do not need to be first in line, but we do hope not to be the school that quietly slips in the back. I'm not an expert in construction timelines or funding cycles, but I'm often the person families turn to with questions about our building and the renovation, especially prospective families. Being able to say with confidence that the process is moving forward would mean a great deal to our community. Our needs are not new, and they are not diminishing. Riverside continues to deliver strong outcomes because of the extraordinary work of our staff and students. What we are asking is a sustained commitment, continued momentum, consistent attention, and reassurance that Riverside remains a clear priority in the town's future planning. Thank you for your time, your partnership, and your continued consideration. And as always, go Red Hawks.
Thank you. So we have Selectwoman Rachel Khanna to be followed by Stephen Pezdek on Zoom, followed by Kristen Adeo.
Good evening, members of the BET. I'm Rachel Khanna, Selectwoman for the Town of Greenwich, former state representative for the 149th, and I'm also chair for the climate resiliency sector of the Greenwich Sustainability Committee. My focus tonight is on sustainability and resiliency. As we look to the future, we need to ensure that our town is prepared for the realities of flooding, sea level rise, and needed upgrades to protect our town infrastructure. Therefore, as I did last year, I urge you to allocate funding for an energy director focused on energy management and cost reductions for our municipal buildings, schools, and infrastructure, and other budget-reducing measures. This role is vital to creating a resilient and efficient Greenwich. And as a resident of the western part of Greenwich, I've witnessed firsthand the increasingly severe flooding that impacts neighborhoods and homes. I urge you to provide DPW with the funds to develop a resiliency plan for the town. And if you sense a theme of planning, then you're not wrong. With that in mind, I also urge you to fund Planning and Zoning's request for a consultant to begin the process of developing our future plan of conservation and development. Investing in our town is not just about meeting today's needs. It's about positioning our town for the future. A safer, more sustainable, and better equipped Greenwich will attract families and businesses and keep our town thriving and fiscally sound. Thank you for your time and for your service to our town.
Craig, do we have Stephen? Stephen, you can speak now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Stefan Pesdak from the Riverside Building Committee and also a proud parent of 2 Riverside students. I'm here to advocate for more funding for the Riverside Building Committee's work towards improving and renovating the Riverside Building. The core building's over 90 years old. It was last renovated over 30 years ago. And those improvements back 30 years ago didn't address the ADA issues. They didn't address the current issues that the school faces, both on security and on current student demands. What I've noticed in this budget that was proposed was that there is a gap that's increased and pushed out the funding for the actual construction to 2029, with the funding gap between what the building committee is doing now and a gap in funding from 27 and 28. The further out we push this design and the construction will only cause costs to rise. The American Institute for Architects estimates that project growth costs estimate between 2 and 3% per year. Contributing to that is labor costs, material costs, transportation costs. These are not unrealistic issues. And accelerating the construction and upgrading the infrastructure at Riverside School is at a critical point at this point in time. I highly ask that you consider to continue funding this to its fullest extent possible. Thank you.
Kristen Adeo? Kristen to be followed by Pete Bothwell, to be followed by Gabriella Feinstein on Zoom.
Green button. Oh, it's done. Okay, hi. Hi, good evening. My name is Kristen Adio, and I'm a mother of 4 children, ages 2 to 9, 3 of whom currently attend Riverside, and 1 who will enter in 2028. I've been actively involved in my children's schools for many years, including serving as president of the Parents Association at St. Paul's Preschool in Riverside. I'm currently on the Riverside PTA board, and before having children, I was a special education teacher. 1 year ago, members of the Riverside school community stood here describing long-standing issues in our school building and the constant compromises students and staff are forced to make as a result. We spoke about cramped classrooms, undersized common spaces, and the lack of designated areas for specialty instruction, student service support, and large group programming. We also raised concerns about accessibility, including barriers that make the building difficult and at times hazardous for students with physical disabilities or injuries. Unfortunately, these concerns remain true today, and they will continue until the work on the building is completed. As a former special education teacher, it is especially disheartening to know that many of my former students could not properly be accommodated in the Riverside School building. Safe access and appropriate space are not extras. They are essential to ensuring every child can fully participate in school with dignity, confidence, and belonging. We're very grateful that the town has taken an important step forward by creating the Riverside School Building Committee to advance the long overdue renovation project, one that was first identified as a high priority nearly a decade ago in the facilities master plan. Our community is ready to shift from identifying problems to implementing solutions. We ask that you plan for this project in a way that avoids delays by allocating $43 million for construction in the fiscal year 2027 through 2028 capital plan. Thank you so much.
Pete Bothwell, to be followed by Gabriella Feinstein on Zoom, followed by Chris Langell.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pete Bothwell. I'm a Riverside resident speaking in support of the Riverside renovation tonight. My wife Elizabeth and I both grew up in Greenwich and very intentionally moved back here to Riverside in 2015 when our oldest child was just 1 year old. We now have 4 children, ages 11 to 2, and our plan is to send them all to Greenwich Public Schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. My wife is a graduate of Riverside School, having gone there from kindergarten to 5th grade, on to Eastern, and then graduating from Greenwich High in 2001. When I think about the student my wife grew to become in high school, then later in college, and in graduate school, as well as the employee she is today, I'm confident that the foundation she received at Riverside helped set the stage for a lifetime of strong work ethic, diligence, and a commitment to academics. I understand it can be difficult to find the funding to keep all our schools current, but while not much has changed with the interior look of the school at Riverside, so much has changed in the community and in the resources required to teach children over the last 32 years since she graduated from Riverside. My family is excited by the prospect of our two youngest children having the opportunity to spend their Riverside school days in a building that is up to code with all the amenities and space of a modern-day elementary school. My ask here tonight is to prioritize Riverside School and allocate the $43 million needed for construction costs in the fiscal year 2027-2028 capital plan. My hope is our children and all their peers are given the benefits of the same foundation and support that my wife received as a Riverside student all those years ago. Thank you.
Craig, do we have Gabriella? Go ahead, Gabriella, to be followed by Chris Langell.
Hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. My name is Gabriella Feinstein, and I live in Coscob, and I have two boys, one at GHS and one at CMS. Firstly, I want to say how deeply frustrated I am that the BOE approved a budget that cuts 11.5 positions from our schools, including 4 core academic roles at Central Middle School. These cuts will be devastating for our children and feel completely backward to the families who fought so hard to support our schools. Secondly, we are a hockey family. Both boys play at Dorothy Hamill. Our family is there almost every day from September through March. Hamill Rink is not just old, it is failing. It has outlived its ability to serve the community. It is literally falling apart, unsafe, and no longer compliant with building codes or ADA standards. And yet, Hamill Rink is the only place in Greenwich where most children can skate and play hockey. There is no alternative facility waiting in the wings. No nearby rink can absorb the programs that depend on Hamill for survival. Programs like Greenwich High School hockey and where my boys play, the Cardinals youth hockey. If we lose or limit ice time, the impact will be immediate and devastating for hundreds of players ages 5 through 18. These kids learn teamwork, discipline, confidence, and resilience on this ice. And for many of them, Hamill Rink is where they find community purpose and a sense of belonging. You take that away, you don't just lose a rink, we lose opportunities for our children. The future of youth and high school hockey in Greenwich depends on including the Hamill Rink replacement project in the capital budget. This is not a nice to have, it is an essential. Our kids cannot wait. The programs can't survive delay, and the time to move forward is now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris Langell. Oh my gosh, sorry. Doug has been correcting me this entire time. Chris, you apologize for the mispronunciation.
Nobody gets it
After
right.
Chris is Martin Garcia.
Good evening. I'm Chris Langell, father of 2 children who attend Riverside School. I'm speaking tonight as a parent and a District 5 RTM member, and I encourage the BET to prioritize the Riverside School renovation as you work to solidify the town's capital plan. As you all know, when the facilities master plan was unveiled, Riverside was identified as one of the school buildings in greatest need of major upgrades. Nearly a decade later, the building's key issues remain unchanged, particularly around safety, security, accessibility, lack of space, and the general condition of the building's interior, which hasn't been updated or modernized in many decades. District 5 RTM is excited about the renovation project, which, in accordance with the approved ed specs, will bring the building up to code, resolve space issues, and equip it for 21st century learning. In short, it will give the building and the more than 500 students and staff members who spend so many hours inside it each day what it has needed for years. We are pleased to see the BET's renewed focus on diligent planning for future capital projects. But we also understand the difficult decisions you must make to prioritize the seemingly unlimited wants and needs in a town as big as ours, particularly within the context of other equally urgent projects poised to happen elsewhere in town over a similar time frame. Fortunately, the previous BET's unanimous approval of the project's design funds in the fiscal year 25-26 budget and prioritization of the construction funds in the capital plan, plus the BOE's unanimous approval of the project's ed specs, is testament to the town's commitment to creating the best learning environment for many District 5 youngest learners, and we hope that doesn't change under the new BET membership. District 5 thanks you for making this project a priority. We ask that you continue by allocating the $43 million for construction into the fiscal year 27-28 capital plan to ensure the project can continue to move forward without any delays. Thank you.
All right, I should put my glasses on. Martin Garcia, to be followed by Stephanie Teitelbaum, to be followed by Jack Lanneman on Zoom.
Thank you so much. Good evening, my name is Martin Garcia, and today I'm not here as a Riverside parent, but as the Vice President of the Riverside Association. The Riverside Association represents a broad cross-section of residents, many of whom do not have children currently enrolled in the school. Even so, there is broad agreement within our membership that this project matters. The quality of our schools directly affects the vitality, stability, and appeal of our neighborhood. The Riverside School is a pre-war neighborhood gem. Its exterior and grounds fit beautifully with the surrounding residential fabric, but inside the building is outdated, increasingly unable to support the educational, accessibility, and service requirements expected of a modern public school. Common spaces are undersized, instructional areas are limited, and accessibility challenges remain. Based on what we know about the building's condition and the scope outlined in the educational specifications, the Board of Governors of the Riverside Association supports this renovation. The proposal thoughtfully addresses critical needs while preserving the character of the building, a balance that is important for our community. On behalf of the Riverside Association, I urge you to support this much-needed renovation and time construction funding in a manner that avoids delays. It's the right decision for our children, our families, and the broader community. Thank you.
Stephanie Teitelbaum, followed by Jack Lanneman on Zoom, followed by Alexandra Friedman.
Hi there. I'm speaking on behalf of the Dorothy Hamill Rink. In 1986, I spent countless hours at the Dorothy Hamill Rink watching my older brother play ice hockey. Now in 2026, I find myself watching my 6-year-old son skate 3 times a week on that very same ice. For more than 55 years, this has been Greenwich's only public ice rink. And for countless children, Hamill Rink is where memories are made, confidence is built, and a lifelong love of the sport begins. But it is now falling apart, only open half of the year, and not ADA accessible, excluding members of our community. This isn't about upgrades or expansion, it's about replacing a facility that has reached the end of its life. The task force has shown that a flip is the most efficient way forward to bring a rink to our town. I respectfully urge the BET to fund this necessary project so my son, this community, and future generations can have the same opportunity that my brother had over 40 years ago. Thank you.
Craig, do we have Jack? Go ahead, Jack.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening. I'm Jack Lanneman, and I'm speaking as a citizen and as a Riverside resident to advocate for 2 capital items. First, I urge you to include money in your capital budget for full renovation of Riverside School. While its setting and exterior are perhaps one of the most charming around, the interior looks shockingly the same as when I went there 40 years ago. Affording classes to have art on a cart or moving an entire classroom when a child is hurt due to not having an elevator is not what should be occurring in our town in 2026. My 2 kids have had lunch 3 hours apart due to the cafeteria being too small to host kids within a reasonable window. I could go on, but we all know the time has come. Sadly, both my kids will have graduated from the school before any renovation is finished, but renovating the school ASAP is the right thing to do, and I urge you to allocate the money now. My second item is the Hamill Rink. I know I don't have to convince you that Hamel is past its useful life. Next to nothing has been done to it since I first skated there 40 years ago as a kid. A year ago, the rink issue was brought back to square one when people complained about the process. But a new rink task force was formed with community-wide representation. The task force has now made its recommendation, and it's time to act. Delaying this project anymore risks a sudden shutdown if the antique chiller breaks down, which would devastate youth and high school hockey in our town and leave them without a home. We cannot afford to wait until the rink stops working to begin the process of rebuilding. A modern rink is critical now to preserve our skating community. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexandra, to be followed by Eric LaRose, I think, and then to be followed by Javier Ailman on Zoom. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Friedman, and I am here as a parent of 2 boys in the Greenwich Cardinal skating program. I can tell you firsthand that the Hamel Rink is beyond its useful life. As we all know, the facility is not code or ADA compliant, the toilets do not flush, and the water is not drinkable. This is simply not accessible for the only rink most Greenwich families rely on. There is no other local facility that can absorb the youth and high school programs that depend on this ice. And losing or limiting it would be devastating for our children and our community. The Hamel Rink Task Force studied this issue thoroughly and made a recommendation, and it's time to act. I urge you to include the necessary funding for a Hamel Rink replacement in the capital budget. Thank you.
Eric LaRose, to be followed by Javier Ailman on Zoom, to be followed by Myra Klockenbrink.
How are you? I'm Eric LaRossi. I'm a Greenwich resident, a Byram neighbor, and a father of 4 children who use Hamel Rink. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to urge you to keep the Hamel Rink in budget. For my family and hundreds, if not thousands of families across Greenwich, Hamel is not just a building. It's where our kids learn teamwork, discipline, resilience, and confidence. It's where youth hockey, figure skating, school programs, and public skating come together to build a community. Hamel's over 50 years old. It has exceeded its useful life, and our youth sports programs cannot reliably depend on Hamel any longer. The facility is outdated, increasingly unreliable, and expensive to maintain. It is costly to patch together year after year, and time is money. Every year we delay this project, it becomes more expensive and more disruptive. And at this point, it is difficult to even debate that the rink needs replacement. The only real question left is whether we act responsibly or continue to delay. While some have suggested that Wings Arena serves as a sufficient alternative, it does not. The new Wings Arena was never designed to replace Hamel. In fact, its anchor tenant relies on Hamel to fill their own scheduling gaps. Additionally, temporary rinks are not a solution, as they disrupt scheduling, limit access, raise costs, and ultimately destroy the programs that support our children. It should simply not be an option to displace youth sports and school activities to satisfy the preference of a small few. I got another page to go. Small few, and our town should not be outsourcing its skating needs to a private out-of-town facility. If we fail to act, we are not just delaying construction, we are putting youth programs at risk and hurting our kids. Greenwich deserves a public rink that serves our community, our schools, and our youth programs. This past November, the voters of Greenwich sent a clear and historic message when they changed the leadership of this very board. The election wasn't about politics, it was about priorities.
Thank you, Eric. Time's up. If you have additional comments, you can give them to us and we'll circulate them. Thank you. Do we have Javier? Javier? Thank you. Go ahead, Javier.
Good evening, everyone. I won't repeat all of the in favor comments for the rink. I think we all know it's past its useful life and it's in dire need of replacement. I do want to highlight that the committee did look at various options for the rink, and the only other viable potential options would have been in Island Beach and Horseneck, each of which would carry an additional $20 million of cost just for flood protection and mitigation from that doesn't even count like potential landfill issues that were under the soil. So any other alternative would have been vastly more expensive just from flood mitigation, not including potential soil remediation concerns. So from an from a cost perspective, this is the best option. But I also want to highlight that Hamel fills a gap of affordability. When you look at other rinks like Wings Arena, the rates that they charge for ice are double that of what Hamel can charge, which translates to the fees that families pay. Not all families are able to afford private clubs or private rink fees that would be associated with like a Wings Arena. If Hamel is not replaced, a lot of these families would lose access to hockey and a lot of kids would not be able to play. And so I just wanted to highlight that in addition to all of the comments in favor of the rink. I think it is very important to include it in the budget and get this approved right away. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have Myra Clockenbrink to be followed by Seth Bacon, to be followed by Joe Rothenberg on Zoom.
Good evening. My name is Myra Clockenbrink. I am a member of the Greenwich Sustainability Committee, and I am a District 8 representative to the RTM and chair of the Parks and Rec Committee. A couple of budget cycles ago, the first selectman had the foresight to propose a sustainability officer position. Since that proposal was rejected, Greenwich has likely lost hundreds of thousands, likely millions of dollars through waste, missed opportunities, and unrealized savings. A sustainability officer can be a profit center, not a cost, if the job is designed from day one to pursue savings, grants, and risk reductions. You have heard from Select Woman Khanna tonight advocating for an energy specialist. A sustainability officer would oversee energy efficiency and cost savings and address waste reduction, necessary upgrades to projects like the Grass Island Treatment Plant, and sustainable transportation, while coordinating across departments to manage budgets, apply for grants, and engage the public. A sustainability officer would, by necessity, be an energy specialist, but the role goes further. It brings financial and environmental discipline to decisions outside the energy sphere, helping the town prioritize capital projects that reduce delay, avoid emergency repairs, infrastructure replacement, and legal or insurance exposure. I don't want to put you off by using the C word, but such a role could help align capital planning with climate projections that we have studies to attest are dire. So I encourage you to consider a sustainability officer position for a town with expensive infrastructure and real climate exposure. Thank you.
Seth Bacon, to be followed by Joe Rothenberg on Zoom. And after that will be Janet Stone McWiggin.
Good evening. My name's Seth Bacon. I represent District 4 on the RTM, and I'm on the BOC, but tonight I'm speaking on my own. Before I get to the rink, I want to make sure, as listening to the Board of Education budget presentation, I hope that you give consideration to the mental health crisis happening with our kids in this country. Dr. Jones talked about an increase in special ed needs. I want to make sure that you consider those and you don't view those as anything but funding a critical need for our community. And if there's any scenario where that increase is being offset in a decrease in general education spending, then I think we're missing the mark for our kids and in the budget. Regarding the Hamel Rink, I am strongly in support of funding the Hamel Rink replacement project in the capital budget. Simply put, we need a new rink. The rink has outlived its useful life. The task force did its job. It accomplished every goal they said they had at the start of the process. You're going to hear over the coming weeks and months that not everyone agrees with that. But the issue is not whether or not the work was done. It's that a small group of people don't like the answer. There's no better alternative that they are proposing, and I'm certain that if a different option had been presented by the task force, we'd be sitting here debating the merits similarly today over the same concerns. It's a never-ending cycle, and we need to stop it. We cannot have any more delays. We cannot risk spending more money, and we cannot risk a potentially devastating impact to the Greenwich hockey community. The first selectman stood up here and said it's always best to fix the roof on a sunny day. It is pouring rain and the roof is leaking for the hockey community. So I urge you, please don't delay this. Include this funding in the project, in the capital budget. Thank you.
That's giving you a chance to sit down. Do we have Joe on Zoom? We do. All right, after Joe is Janet Stone McWiggin and Francis Wunobe in the room. Go ahead, Joe.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. I think all of my points have been made, but I wrote it down, so you're going to have to hear it again. I'm a parent of 3 kids who attend Greenwich Public Schools and play for Greenwich Cardinals Youth Hockey. I'm also a board member. I want to briefly explain why the rink replacement project belongs in the budget and why moving forward now is the responsible choice. First, the existing Dorothy Hamill rink needs to be replaced. It's aging, it's falling apart, it's only usable about 6 months a year, it's not ADA or code compliant. This isn't about expansion, it's a basic replacement of essential infrastructure. Second, we need a rink. We've had a public rink here for 55 years. Hamill is the only rink available to the general public in this town. Programs that rely on it are substantial. We're talking boys and girls high school hockey, youth hockey, public skating, and town skating programs. To put that in context, those programs use well over 1,000 hours of ice time each season. Cardinals Youth Hockey alone uses hundreds of hours, and GHS Hockey uses hundreds more. There's no other rink in Greenwich or nearby with the capacity to absorb that demand. Even the skating club, which is the anchor tenant at Wings Arena, rents hundreds of hours of ice time every year at Hamill. That tells you everything you need to know about whether other facilities are a realistic alternative. Without a replacement rink, our program simply cannot continue. Finally, the town did this the right way. A diverse and representative task force, including RTM members, BET representation, neighborhood and veterans groups, and town departments, worked for 9 months. Every single meeting was public. They solicited feedback from residents and constituent groups, examined every viable town and site in town, and evaluated cost, feasibility, traffic, and impacts. The process was exhaustive, transparent, and fair. Everyone had their say, and the task force did the job we asked them to do. From a budget perspective, stopping or delaying now doesn't save money. It increases risks, increases long-term costs, and puts established town programs which serve our kids at risk. This project has been delayed for many years, and the community feels marginalized. I urge you and respectfully ask the BET to include funding for this project in the capital budget so we can move forward responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Janet Stone McWiggin, to be followed by Francis Wunobe, to be followed by Ali Cornelius Ciantorno on Zoom.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. You know me as a co-chair of the Greenwich Sustainability Committee, but tonight I speak as an individual. Let me begin by thanking you for making tonight's meeting a hybrid meeting. We will only achieve the best outcomes when our community is provided full information, easy participation, and a robust discussion ensues. And with that, I'll get straight to my feedback. Greenwich needs a financial mindset that holistically embraces sustainability. By definition, a sustainable budget will be financially responsible, and a financially responsible budget will be sustainable. Financial planning needs to be comprehensive in its scope. Capital investment and future operating expenses are connected. We need to take both into account when we are making tough budget decisions. The town would profit from many investments that support the sustainable vision I've just laid out. But for the sake of time, I'll illustrate what I mean by focusing on the town's investment in renewable energy, or rather, the frustratingly slow pace of taking on such investments. I won't recite the long list of individual projects we should be approving, many of which do not require any capital outlay. Instead, I will advocate that the town needs an energy manager, echoing the remarks of Selectwoman Khanna and Myra Klockenbrink, maybe 3 times the charm. Greenwich is fortunate to be served by the Energy Management Advisory Committee and the formidable expertise of its volunteer members. But it is meant to be advisory, not to perform the work of town staff. An energy manager would not replace EMAC, but rather act on its recommendations. In so doing, the position would pay for itself many times over, since we know that each year the town is leaving a lot of money on the table from untapped energy savings. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak tonight and highlight the importance of everyone coming together to safeguard the financial health of the town we all call home.
Francis, to be followed by Ally on Zoom, to be followed by Vin DeMarco in the room.
Good evening. My name is Frances Funobe, and this year I serve as the PTA Council Facilities Committee Chair, representing all 15 public schools. Our neighborhood school facilities reps work closely with district leadership to identify building needs and advocate for school environments that are safe, functional, and open for learning. Before you is the FY27 Board of Education capital budget, totaling approximately $18 million across 18 line items. Our school buildings are town-owned assets, and this budget reflects our shared commitment to caring for them thoughtfully and responsibly. We respectfully urge your approval. For FY27, roughly $15 million supports major systems and time-sensitive projects, including GHS pool design, the JCS renovation, Western Middle School field lighting, a secure entry at ISD, the HVAC system at GHS, and roof maintenance. These investments help ensure our buildings continue to operate safely and serve our community well. The remaining $3 million addresses the everyday details that shape school life: gym repairs, kitchen equipment, playgrounds, ISD lighting, GHS classroom furniture, sump pumps, generators, fire alarms, and more. While smaller in scale, these improvements make a real difference in keeping schools running smoothly. By addressing needs now, we can avoid larger challenges later and continue to provide stable, dependable school environments. Working together, we can ensure our students and staff spend their days focused on learning, growth, and connection, not on infrastructure issues. Thank you for your time this evening, and thank you for your prior approval to build Central Middle School. I'm so excited for our first new middle school in 60 years. I mention it because it's a reminder that capital investment today becomes the schools we celebrate tomorrow. Please approve the FY27 BOE capital budget. Thank you.
Craig, do we have Ally? Ally, go ahead. We're having a little trouble in the room, so if you could try and speak up or be closer to your mic, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Hi there, how's this?
It's okay. Thank you.
Great.
It's not you, I don't think. We're having a little technical trouble, but we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. My name is Allie, and along with my husband, Alan, we collectively have 5 children, 3 of whom are in Greenwich Cardinal Youth Hockey. My husband and I are both born and raised in Greenwich, and we both grew up skating and playing at Hamel Rink. Hamel Rink is beyond its useful life. It is physically deteriorating and no longer meets basic code or ADA standards. This isn't a matter of preference or aesthetics. It's a matter of safety, access, and responsibility. Hamel Rink is also the only place in Greenwich where most families can skate. It supports not just hockey, but also parks and recreation skating programs, learn to skate classes, and public skating. There is no backup facility. No other rink in the area can absorb the volume of programs that rely on Hamel, including Greenwich High School hockey, Cardinals youth hockey, and all town skating programs. If ice time is reduced or lost, these programs don't shift elsewhere. They simply disappear. The impact would be felt immediately by hundreds of children and families, from toddlers learning to skate through high school athletes. For many kids, Hamel is their first exposure to skating, their first team, their first experience with organized sports. The Hamel Rink Task Force has worked endlessly and examined this issue in the most comprehensive, transparent, and thorough way possible. They evaluated options, gathered data, listened to stakeholders, and made a clear recommendation. That work deserves respect. Including the Hamel Rink replacement in the capital budget is not optional if we want these programs to survive. We've studied this long enough. Now is the time to move forward. Thank you.
Vin DeMarco, to be followed by Joseph DeMarco, to be followed by Carrie Gruss on Zoom.
Thank you for the opportunity, all of you. I want to speak about I'm going to meld 2 things together. It seems now that we have plenty of time to talk about the merits of any of the capital projects, since you just got the books tonight as well. So I want to talk about something a little more timely, I suppose. Nobody needs a reminder about all the snow that's out there, but as of tonight, every eastbound bus shelter is blocked on Route 1 in Western Greenwich. Not accessible. Not only are the shelters blocked, but most of the sidewalks are still not cleared. And I don't know whether that's a problem of not enough funding. Maybe you should ask the DPW whether they just didn't have enough funding to take care of that. They had 2 days to do it. Or whether it's actually maybe a policy, procedural, or dare I say, cultural issue. And you might look out to the DPW and take a look at some of the projects that are coming up. I'm co-chair of the Active Transportation Committee, First Selectmen's Active Transportation Committee, and we've had liaisons from all departments and RTM, Planning and Zoning, not yet from the BET, but we'll get to that soon. So we've been very supportive of DPW with their projects. We went to bat for them for the SS4A, but take a look and see what their objectives are for the SS4A. Is it really all about automobile throughput, or is it about safety for people, for pedestrians, for cyclists, and everyone on our roads? So just those two things. Thank you so much.
Normally, I don't respond, but I would just add that, and Mr. Kelly's mentioning over here, some of Route 1 is the state's responsibility, so we'll have to figure out what falls in our jurisdiction and what falls within the state. But point well taken about the bus shelters. Joseph, to be followed by Carrie Gruss on Zoom, to be followed by Ernst Schwimmer.
Thank you very much, and good evening. My name is Joseph DeMarco. I'm a town resident. I have a daughter at the high school and a son at Eastern Middle School. He's also a goalie on the Greenwich Cardinals youth hockey. What are the places in town where people of all ages, races, genders, economic classes, and backgrounds regularly mingle and talk to one another? I can think of only a few. Our parks, our playgrounds, our libraries, the Hamel Rink. What is the one place where people are not regularly on these things, their devices? Of those, just the Hamel Rink. You can't play Fortnite while you're figure skating, and USA Hockey bans iPhones from the locker rooms. One of the greatest challenges of parenting is trying to persuade our kids to put these devices down, not be on social media, not play video games. But unless we give them alternatives, we can lecture them until the cows come home. A year-round hockey rink is just such an alternative. The Hamel Rink, as you know, has outlived its usefulness. But if you want to get the kids off their devices, get them on the ice. Go Cards.
Craig, do we have Carrie on the line? I know she was coaching a game, so I'm not sure if she was able to make it. So we'll skip Carrie. We have Ernst Schwimmer, and then we have, just a programming note, we have 3 speakers in the room after Ernst, and we have 2 more on Zoom. So after Ernst, I'm going to go for Shana Kaladandras on Zoom, if he's available.
Thank you. I just want to react quickly to pickleball. I am a pickleball player, and I am a tennis player as well. Pickleball obviously had phenomenal growth. Joe, as a sport expert, there's a college championship. It's coming into the high schools. When we think about aquatics, moving the tennis courts and so on, we need better solutions, right? Space is tight in our town, but I think time has also come to make better usage of modern technology. We need some evening lights. They're not really polluting neighbors and these things. We can do better. Binney Park and some other locations, that's a possibility. Just one thing, from a tennis player perspective, please do not cannibalize tennis courts. In school sports, you cannot anyway, but it's very distracting as a tennis player to be on a pickleball painted or lined court. The baseline, the serve line, and so on, it changes the tennis game. So we need to speak together, and the pickleball players have a fantastic social opportunity. It's great to see the growth, right? not on the devices and these type of things, but please, not at the expense of tennis, right? We can do better together. My second point is completely different. You have all these fabulous binders there over there in the BET. Thank you for working hard on this. I would like the One Greenwich mobile app. I cannot believe that something like that is not in the budget. Joe, you know enough high schoolers, they can do that app for us at the very, very good price, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Do we have Jonah Kalodrandis on the line? Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, apologies for the sick voice. Good evening. My name is Jonna Kalandranis. I'm a Greenwich parent and a Byram resident. Greenwich needs a public skating rink to replace what the town has relied on for more than 5 decades. Hamel is the only town-run facility serving youth sports, school programs, and public skating, and private rinks are not and cannot be a substitute. Hamel also provides critical west side access, allowing families to participate in town programs in a way out-of-town facilities cannot. After 9 months of open and transparent work, the Hamel Rink Task Force reached a strong majority recommendation that the modified flip is the most practical and cost-effective way to deliver a new rink without shutting down programs for multiple seasons. It is also important to clarify that a small but vocal group does not represent all of Byram. Many Byram families rely on Hamel and support moving this project forward. That support was formally submitted to the task force, including from the New Lebanon School PTA, Hamilton Avenue School PTA, and from Bank Football. There's no time left to wait. Continued delay only increases costs and risks losing access to town programs. The people paying the price for inaction are our kids and the families who rely on this public facility. This is an investment in accessible public recreation for our children and for the future of Greenwich. I urge the BET to include this project in the capital budget and move it forward now. Thank you.
All right, I got a little behind there. Lucia Jansen, you're up, to be followed by Stacy Cleary, to be followed by our last Zoom speaker, Christina Linden.
I'm not here talking about pickleball, but those are all my friends back there, so. And Laura. All right, good evening. My name is Lucia Jansen. I'm here to speak about the proposed Hamel Rink construction funding in the fiscal year 27 capital budget based on the Hamel Rink Task Force report. Once again, this conversation feels like Groundhog Day, a familiar replay that leads us back to the same conclusion, the flip design for Hamel Rink. I want to begin by thanking the task force members for their time and effort. We are all anxious for the Hamel Rink renovation. However, from my perspective, 2 essential deliverables remain missing, despite repeated requests, and a third is a surprising miss not included in the report. First, there is still no documented analysis of available ice time in the region during construction period. For years, we've been told there isn't enough ice, but no data has been produced to support that claim. As far back as 2021, when I served as chair of the Budget Overview Committee of the RTM, our committee made a formal request for a current survey of surrounding rinks, available ice time, time of day, and associated costs. That report has never been delivered. Have you seen it? If so, please send along as soon as possible. Second, there is no usage or financial impact analysis reflecting the reduced use of Hamel Rink by the Greenwich Skating Club, an exclusive private skating club member and Hamel's largest customer. GSC built a $10 million private rink in Stamford, opened in 2025. Based on my own review of their published schedules, GSC's usage at Hamel appears to have dropped by roughly 48%, from 356 hours to 185. Finally, and third, is the surprising miss in the task force deliverables. I have serious concerns about how sites were evaluated without considering actual layout, yet a new cost estimate from $24 million to a ballpark $40 million. At the January 16, 2026 task force meeting, surprisingly, a new rink layout and road through the park was revealed, called an alternate to the alternate flip for the first time.
Lucia, thank you. You can submit the rest of your comments in writing if you want. Thank you so much. Stacy Cleary, to be followed by Christina Linden on Zoom, to be followed by Lucy Von Brockel. And if either Alex Pop or Carrie Gruss is on Zoom, Carrie's on. So after Stacy, I will go to Carrie. Thank you, Stacy.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stacy Cleary. I'm a resident, teacher, and business owner in town. Before I address pickleball, I do want to briefly talk about GPS and urge the board not to make further cuts to the GPS teachers. As a prior speaker noted, we are facing a serious mental health crisis, and our teachers are on the front lines of that need. I have personally seen the rise in mental health challenges in school, and cutting teachers is not what our students need right now, especially after the reductions that have already occurred. We, as educators, provide far more than academic instruction. We are often the first to notice when students are struggling and the ones who offer daily stability and support. We need our dedicated teachers in place to be there for our students now more than ever. I'm also here tonight to express my strong support for pickleball. Over the past several years, pickleball has become a rapidly growing sport in town and is one of the most important social connection points for many residents in our town. What makes pickleball so special is its accessibility. It is truly multi-generational sport. On any given day, you can see high school students playing alongside residents in their 70s and 80s. Few activities bring together people of all ages in such a natural and meaningful way. The courts have become places where friendships form, barriers break down, and community is built. Pickleball supports physical health, wellness, mental health, and also fostering connection and inclusion. For many residents, it's more than just a game, it's a vital part of their daily routine and social life. As participation continues to grow, access to courts has become increasingly limited. Players often face long wait times, particularly in the evening when lighted courts are at their highest demand. This creates frustration and limits access to a sport that so many rely on for their health, social connection, and well-being. Thank you for your time.
So online, we have Carrie Gruss, and if Christina's online, we'll take Christina Linden after that. And then we have two more speakers, Lucy Von Brockel and James Walsh will be our last speaker. So if you intend to speak and have not signed up, this is last call. Carrie, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Gruss, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Central Middle School PTA. We are strongly opposed to the Board of Education's proposed operating budget. We do not feel the proposed budget reflects the needs of GPS's almost 9,000 students by cutting 10.5 teaching positions and 1 student-facing administrator position. We urge you to preserve at least some, if not all, of the core academic teachers at CMS and the 7.5 positions at GHS without making any cuts in other areas. We, as a GPS community, advocated for a BET that was ready to fully support our schools, only to be met with a proposed BOE operating budget that fell far short. CMS PTA has proposed an open enrollment option to boost enrollment at CMS after years of being in a condemned building through a construction zone. This, coupled with many exemptions, has left us with a slightly declining enrollment. With the opening of our new school, it is a wonderful time to open the doors to everyone in the community. We'd like to fill the building with new students and be sure to have the teachers and staff necessary to allow it to thrive. It only makes sense to support CMS teachers and not make cuts to their building after taxpayers spent over $100 million building this beautiful new facility. Now is the time to invest, not cut. Please support our Central Middle School teachers and our friends at GHS and urge the Board of Education to reconsider a budget that better reflects our Greenwich Public Schools needs. Thank you.
Do we have Christina Linden on Zoom? If she raises her hand, we'll come back to her. Lucy Von Brockel?
I apologize for winging this because I didn't prepare anything. First, I wanted to My name's Lucy Von Brockel. I'm the chair of RTM District 4 Byram. I lived in Byram as a kid, now I do as an adult. I've skated, and I've been very involved and followed the rink project for a very long time. I want to address a mischaracterization about what the Byram community feels about the skating rink. It's mixed. And it always has been. The BNA never said, don't build a rink in Byram. I've always supported building a rink in Byram. I've always wanted to have it in the same footprint and have a temporary rink. That was one of the options that the task force looked at. It cost more money, not substantially more, but we're also looking at plans that are much less fully developed than prior plans. So the finances, to me, are still a little bit amorphous. So that's that. I also just wanted to say that when I moved back to Byram 20 some odd years ago, people were fighting for a New Lebanon school. And I feel like I'm hearing the same things from the skating community, Riverside, pickleball, the pool, everything. We're all always sort of desperate for the thing that we really, really need. And I'm very sympathetic to that. And I hope that people have a little bit of sympathy for the people that are underrepresented in Byram. I've spoken to a lot of those people in the many 100 meetings or so I've been to. I've reached out to people in McKinney Terrace, which the task force did not do. I've reached out to people across the street from the rink. And I'm very familiar with the neighborhood and the concerns that other residents have that maybe aren't quite ready to see this flip happen. Thank you.
Craig, is there anyone on Zoom that has their hands raised? Okay, so we'll consider that closed. And our last speaker is James Walsh.
Hey, good evening, all. I would like to touch on two subjects tonight, pedestrian safety and schools. One, last year, I'm not sure if it's in the budget again this year, I would assume it is, the sidewalk on Indian Field Road was cut at the end of last year. It was stated that no one ever walks there. I live in that community. The vast majority of individuals from the Lachlan Park community who reside on Indian Fields are in favor of that sidewalk. And it is something that the community would desire if it is in the budget again this year. And if it's not, it would be great to get it in there in future years. Item number two is the school's budget. We heard the budget presented earlier tonight. I would ask you if it's possible to reach out to the Board of Ed and ask them what a budget that retains those FTEs that they're looking to cut, what would that look like for the Board of Ed, right? The FTEs at Central Middle School, the 4 FTEs there will result in the removal of the two-team system as we know it now, which is, in place at both of the other middle schools in town. It is tried and true, and it would result in the, hybrid cross-teaming model that might not be best for the students. It should also be noted that the individual who put together the enrollment report for this year put a warning on there. This was not in there last year. It was only in there this year. And he said increased caution is needed when using these projections. And basically, he goes on that apply your knowledge of the specific conditions of Greenwich and then make adjustments as necessary. What is that? We had a school that was condemned. It was under construction. Students wavered into other schools, and none of that was taken into account for the enrollment projections. All of those students were not taken into account as CMS students, but rather at the school where they attended, which impacted those enrollment projections. We saw a similar thing happen with New Lebanon. This exact same demographer.
James, thank you. You're out of time. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. That concludes our public hearing. I would just like to report that the First Selectman has reached out to the state. I don't think Finn is still here, but the state has been notified of the conditions of some of the bus shelters. So hopefully that they will get on that. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All those in favor? Thank you, everyone.